Everybody, welcome back or welcome to the channel covering all things Snap, Marvel Snap. This is the WolverSNAP channel. So we're looking at MODOK today, specifically because I'm an earlier game player and I just got into this about 3-ish weeks ago. We're going to look at the early game sets with him, decks. Want to see what I'm looking at. We're also going to show you a couple of cards that we're likely going to fill in later game, which will make this way more powerful. I think you can still use them in this early game and use them well. I know some initial early impressions, people didn't think he was good, but there's this thing in my gut that's telling me that no, he's going to be good. And I've seen some people already talking about they maybe needed to nerf him, and we'll see. So anyway, we're going to go through a little bit of that and do some gameplay. So let's check it out. So MODOK's in the game. I just bought this morning. I haven't played a ton. You discard your hand if you're not familiar. So that's what we got with him. I'm obviously going to throw him into a discard deck. I talked about wanting to look at those discard cards. We're going to look at the wonderful site snap.fan to look at these. So I've done a filter for just discard. This is not going to show you every card you want to play in this deck. And frankly, some of these don't show right. Like, why is Tapu in here? I don't know. So anyway, you get an idea of what cards you might want to throw into this deck, because when you lean into the discard deck, you want cards that make sense to discard. You know, Blade, he's super iffy. You never know when he's going to do anything. Colleen Wing, Yandu discards your opponent. Colleen Wing discarding your lowest card. I mean, maybe you have that and discard Blade. Morbius, you definitely want in this deck because you're going to be discarding a bunch of stuff and you're going to want to ramp up those points. So make sure to have him. Swarm, I think, is a great discard card to have because he multiplies. And you can get those for 0 cost. Wolverine, obviously, because you just want to leave it in the deck. Whenever he gets discarded, he's going to be played on the field. Now, could you ditch him because you're only going to get a 4 out of it? Yeah, maybe. And it's RNG, and it's only a 4. Okay, I see. But it's a discarded a card that's going to get played, so I like it. Black Cat is actually, if you've got it, it's pretty nice. You can just leave it in your hand and never do anything with it. It just discards and feeds Morbius. So it's kind of like, all right. And it's also if for some reason you have in your hand, you're like, you know what? 7 points. I like that. I'm going to play that in there. Just Gambit's a different play. Sif, great. She's good for anything. If you're playing APOC or a Helicarrier. Moon Knight. Yeah, I guess it's, you know, some randomness like most of these. Swordmaster, I really like. Dracula, I do not have this. I don't have most of these cards, frankly. Dracula, I think, is really good if you're playing with APOC, because if you have him and you've built up that APOC so high, and maybe you play MODOK last turn and you still leave APOC in your Apocalypse, if you leave him in your hand and you still discard it, all of a sudden all those points go to the Dracula, which is amazing. Ghost Rider, I mean, maybe on this. I think it depends what direction you go. Hellcow's just discarding more. Again, I don't know why Shayna's on here. Black Bolt's not a player in this in my mind. It's an opponent thing. And then MODOK, like we talked about, this is just discarding your whole hand, and you're obviously playing this on turn 5 or 6. Depending how you're set up for your hand, I would determine what hand I would play this on, or how your deck how your deck is set up determines, in my mind, if you're wanting to play this on 5 or 6. Apocalypse, I just like in a discard deck because he keeps building up, but if you're doing that, you want him in your hand for as long as possible and him to be potentially the last card in your deck. But remember, you're going to get a card on that final turn. So if you have MODOK and Apocalypse, that means that something's going to... I mean, you can only do MODOK 5 and Apocalypse 6. So you got to think about that. Unless you combine it with Dracula and then leave APOC in your hand, and Dracula discards that and gets the additional points, which is kind of like, okay, that's fine. But then you can't play Strong Guy with that either because you've got something in your hand. Hella, there's a lot of RNG on that. I don't know if I like that. You know, I don't know. I'm just not I don't have it, but I'm not a fan of the RNG. I do Helicarrier. I like the concept of having this in your hand because, frankly, like, if one of your Swordmasters, Blades, or specifically Sif discard this hand or this card, you get a bunch more in your hand for MODOK to blow up. So I really like that. The other cards that you're going to actually get with this, you're going to see, like, you want to consider like a Mystique, I'd say. Mystique in general, I think, is just a good card that can fit a lot of decks. If the last card you played has an ongoing ability, this card gains it. So it's whatever ongoings that you've got. It's something to consider. You will see that in some decks to go ahead and copy. I mentioned strong guy earlier. If your hand's empty, he gets +6 power, but that means whatever the last card that you have in there, you've got to, it's got to either be played or somehow get discarded and not come back. So I would only really look at him if you've got a situation that you're going to definitely have something like that. Again, that means like probably get rid of America Chavez. Be careful with Swarm because you just potentially build so many up. You don't have room on the board to play them. You know, and a card that I would think about too is Mojo. I know that might seem silly, but if you are playing some of these decks that, you know, fill up a lot of locations and you see a spot that it seems like your opponent is likely to fill up, well, this 2 card all of a sudden becomes 8 power. That's pretty strong. So I would look at maybe doing that. And you know, if it gets discarded, it's like not the end of the world too. So you don't feel bad if it gets discarded. And if it gets discarded, it's feeding, you know, your Morbius, or really just clearing that hand in general. A couple other things I want to mention in this that you want to think. And again, Mystique is nice. Look that with your Morbius in there to potentially copy that. I think it's probably pretty good. A lot of this is really just about blowing up your deck, your hand with the MODOK to get those points and, you know, building up APOC or whatever it might be. Also, if you're playing a hand like this, you might want to, and I'm going to give a shout out to Iceman on this because he brought it up. I would consider, well, 2 cards really. This one I'm saying is Agent 13 because it gives you another card and it's a low cost. But the one that Iceman was brought up, which I think is a really good idea, is Sunspot. I think that the idea that Sunspot, because with a lot of what might happen here is you will be sitting and waiting to discard. So you can run Sunspot up. You might get blown up, but you know, it's better. I mean, better to play it and have it sit there and not waste all that energy. So that's a spot that you could definitely consider just because you're waiting to get to the point where you can start discarding. Like I mentioned though, the end game is very different. I showed some of those cards. I'm going to hop back in game, show you guys the deck I'm going to be looking at playing with and messing around with and playing a couple hands. All right, so I've named this deck the Discard Early, meaning that like I'm an early player. So it's kind of like, okay, so right now, I mean, I literally made this deck while I was at the doctor's office with my son this morning. So I haven't gone crazy with it. I think that there's some things I could swap around a little bit. You know, America Chavez on there. I talked about that. I think that I'm probably going to take that out. Akoi and Scorpion are just random cards in there. But like I've said in other videos, I don't really have a lot of cards that really make a ton of sense. So as I do this, you know, I might drop, I'm going to play it this way. Not saying this is the best deck, but I'm going to play it this way for now to show it. Maybe play a hand or 2. And then maybe do one more with, maybe I'd take out AC and put in Sunspot or something along those lines. Just, again, to show you a little flavor. But this is some of the risk in these is I got a 66% chance of hitting a card that I want. But, you know, you will throw Wolverine there, then see what happens. Let's see what... All right, so let's hope he doesn't go to Space Throne. All right. All right, so this is one of those where I'm going to play MODOK my last hand. He's an on reveal, right? What would be interesting is if you do multiple on reveals with him and you got a Swarm in your hand and he just keeps nuking it. That'd be kind of fun. Not snapping. Don't feel great about it, but we'll see what happens. I don't think their situation is great either, but... I mean, the fact that I even tied over on the right, this is such a weird... Yeah. I was wondering if they were going to play Moon Girl for that collector. That felt like a tough play over there. Now that means I got to play him last hand. This is where it's unfortunate because... and also Sif, what is she going to discard? MODOK or APOC? Find out. Be great if after turn 5 it pulled the MODOK there. This can be fun. Got a 66% chance here to get a decent... I want one of those. We'll see what happens. Or is he going to do the MODOK? I want to try to pull the something away from Stark Tower so they don't get that energy. And what's getting pulled? Give me MODOK over there. Pull MODOK over there. Pull MODOK. Pull MODOK. 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 Yeah. Dumb luck right there. So what do I want to do here? I think I'm going to go like that. So that's, I mean, that's a pretty fun situation there where you can really build up a bunch of points. I'm going hard in the middle, you know, no reason really, just kind of moving things around. I think they might play a bigger card there, but let's see what happens. This is kind of a fun result of this hand. Now I want to, or at least a fun play. We'll see what the result is. I'm not even sure what they'd play here. I feel like maybe an onslaught, thinking that they could get more from Blue Marvel. Yeah, see, I think they analyzed that and knew there was nothing they could do there to win. But that's kind of what you want to have happen in that, which is honestly super fun and cool. I definitely want to bring MODOK all the way up, so I'm just going to start leveling him up a little bit. All right, so this is a rematch. Yeah, this is an unfortunate thing here. Just gonna start messing around now. Wish I had Morbius, but why didn't I get more than that? That's weird. Why didn't I? Oh, because I had a full deck. So this isn't this is a tough situation here. I can guarantee the win there. And that's Blue Marvel something. But then, like, if he's smart, you know, he's probably just going to go play a card there. We're just going to go ahead and let this play out. I mean, I'm expecting a play here that could beat the 11. Yeah. That's to be expected. So that was a good play. So we're technically equal, right? So they won, or I won the first one. They won the second. Good play there, Felson. Snapping because I feel like my Morbius would build up a little bit, and I don't think they can win both, and I think I'll win the right side by maybe more, but we'll see. See what they played in the middle. Same thing.
Enough said, bub.
We had a similar hand there. GG's, dun-dun-dun-dun. So anyway, so that's, I'm going to wrap it up there. I got a number of games in. I mean, I really, even at an early game like level, I really like how these matches are sort of setting up. I can see a ton of potential with this deck. I think it's very, very cool. I love what they did there. Depending how this shakes out, I could see some people complaining too, but it's fun. I definitely could see ways that you could lose, and I think people are going to keep playing with this deck. So appreciate you making it this far. If you've been playing with MODOK, let me know what your thoughts are on the card, on the different decks you're building. Say it in the comments below. I'd appreciate that. If you want to help out the algorithm, you want to come to the Discord, that's in the link below. We're definitely trying to grow the channel and all that. Chat all things Marvel Snap. So if you want to tell that aunt, uncle, niece, nephew, grandma, grandpa, appreciate it. Until next time, hope you have a wonderful day.